Good afternoon to all participants in the online public hearing organized by the Independent Evaluation Commission for assessing the integrity of candidates for the position of member in the self-administration bodies of judges and prosecutors pursuant to Law Number 26/2022. I hereby declare this session open. This hearing involves the resumed evaluation of Mrs. Tatiana Chiriac, candidate for the Superior Council of Magistracy. I would like to welcome you, Mrs. Chiriac, to our hearing. We are here to conduct an online public hearing in the context of the resumed evaluation process aimed at assessing candidates for the position of the Superior Council of Magistracy. The Commission is acting in accordance with Law Number 26/2022 and its rules of procedure. On the screen in front of you, you have the four members of the Commission: Victoria Henley, Tatiana Chiriac, Nona Tsutoria, and myself, Herman van Hebel, the chair of the Commission. The Commission is also assisted by members of the Secretariat, and the online public hearing can also be followed by representatives of the media and the public. During the hearing, interpretation between Romanian and English will be provided, and to allow for accurate interpretation, I would kindly ask you to speak clearly and slowly. Furthermore, the proceedings are being recorded and the public parts will be available online generally within 24 hours after the hearing via the website of the Commission, www.vetting.md. I will start with a brief overview of the procedural background of this resumed evaluation. On 24 March 2023, the Commission issued a decision in relation to your integrity evaluation for the position of member in the Superior Council of Magistracy. In its decision, the Commission decided that it had serious doubts about your compliance with the criterion of financial and/or ethical integrity in relation to the failure to submit declarations of income and property at appointment and release from office, and in relation to subestimated value of a car. On 3 April 2023, you appealed this decision to the Supreme Court of Justice, and on 1 August, the Supreme Court of Justice annulled the Commission's decision and ordered a re-evaluation. On 8 September 2023, the Commission started the resumed evaluation. On 7 November, pursuant to Article 19, Paragraph 1, Litera C of its Rules of Procedure, the Commission sent you a statement of facts and serious doubts. On 17 November, you responded in writing to the statement of facts and serious doubts, and you also informed the Commission that you wish to participate in a public hearing. During this hearing, the Commission will take into account your privacy and, where required and possible, the privacy of your family members and close persons. So we will leave out unnecessary details relating to, for example, ID numbers, bank account numbers, addresses of real estate, and the like. For the protection of your own privacy, we ask you to do the same. The present hearing takes place at your request, and the hearing will be focused on the statement of facts and serious doubts that the Commission has sent to you and your written response to these statements of facts. I will briefly explain the procedure for today's hearing. For each issue included in the statement of facts and serious doubts, you will be given, if you so wish, a maximum of 50 minutes to briefly provide additional explanations to complement your written response to the statement of facts and serious doubts that you submitted to the Commission. One or more members of the Commission may have questions for you about the explanations you have provided, both in writing and during the hearing. I urge you to be concise in your explanations and answers, and I also urge you to answer all questions truthfully and completely. Your explanations are, of course, important to the Commission in verifying your financial and ethical integrity. I would now like to hand over to Tatiana Chiriac to lead the discussion with you on the statement of facts and serious doubts. Tatiana, you have the floor.
Bună ziua, doamnă Chiriac.
Greetings, Madam
La
Chiriac.
subiectul 1,
As
nedeplinirea
regards the first
declarațiilor cu
issue,
venit
the
și
failure to
probitatea
submit
la
declarations on
eliberarea din
income and
funcție,
property upon your release from
Comisia are
office.
dubii serioase
In
cu
this regard, the
privire la
Commission has serious
respectarea de
doubts
către
about your
dumneavoastră a
compliance
regimului de
with the
declarare a
regime
averii
of
și a
declaration
intereselor
of assets and
personale și
personal
anume
interests,
depunerea
namely
declarației la
as regards
plecarea
the
din
submission
funcție în anul
upon leaving office
2016.
in
Dacă
2016,
doriți, vă rugăm să
the
furnizați
submission of
pe
the
scurt
declaration upon leaving
explicații
office in 2016.
suplimentare pentru a
If
completa
you so wish, please
răspunsul dumneavoastră
provide
scris la
additional
expunerea
explanations
faptelor
to
și a
complement
dubiilor
your written
serioase
response to
pe
the
care
statement of
le-ați
facts and serious
prezentat
doubts that
Comisiei.
you submitted to the Commission.
Poftim.
And now you can take the floor, if you so wish.
Sau să procedem la
Or
întrebări.
we could move on to asking the
Nu
questions.
știu dacă aș avea ceva
I
suplimentar de
am not sure I
adăugat
have
decât
anything
faptul
additional
că
to add
am
other than the
amintesc foarte bine
fact
că
that
la
I
am depus
remember
această
that I
declarație.
filed that
Dacă aveam ceva de
declaration. I
ascuns
certainly remember
atunci,
that I did
nu
that.
depuneam la
If I
începutul
had
anului
anything to
2017
hide, I
o
wouldn't
altă
have filed in early
declarație. Dacă sunt
2017
alte
another declaration
întrebări,
if there is anything
sigur,
I would have wanted
nu
to
am
hide.
păstrat o
If there are
copie,
any other questions, well, I
nu
did
am
not
acte ca
keep
să
a
vă
copy.
demonstrez.
Certainly, I don't have any documentation to
Cred că sunt
support.
gata să răspund
But
la întrebări.
still, I think I would rather
Bine.
start answering your
Trecem la
questions.
întrebări. La 10 mai
All right then.
2016
On the 10th of
ați
May
demisionat din
2016,
funcția de
you
șef al
resigned from your position of
Secretariatului
head of
Judecătoriei
secretariat
Călăraș.
at the
În cadrul
Călăraș
evaluării
court.
inițiale ați
During
declarat
the
că ați
initial
depus
evaluation, you
declarația
stated that you
la
submitted
eliberare
the
din funcție,
declaration upon
dar
release from
din
office,
cauza unui conflict
but
cu persoana
due to a conflict
responsabilă
with
de
the person
înregistrare a
responsible
declarațiilor,
for registering
declarația nu a fost
declarations,
înregistrată
that
în modul
declaration was not
prevăzut de lege.
registered
Cu
as
toate
provided by
astea,
the
la
law.
11
However,
aprilie
on
2017 ați
11th of
depus
April
declarația cu
2017, you
privire la
submitted a
venituri și
declaration on
proprietate
interests and
și
property,
declarații cu
on
privire
income
la
and
interese
property,
personale
and the
pentru anul
declaration on interests
2016, pe care
for
nu ați fost
2016
obligată să le depuneți.
that you were not required
Potrivit
to submit.
răspunsului judecătoriei Strășeni,
According to the
declarațiile
response of the
dumneavoastră au
Strășeni
fost
court,
înregistrate
your
în Registrul
declarations
Unic de
were
Intrare a
registered
Corespondenței
in
și nu
a
pe
register of
portalul web
correspondence and
sau
not on the
depus la persoana
website
responsabilă de colectare declarației.
filed with the
Dosarul
person that was
dumneavoastră
in charge of
personal nu
submitting
conține o
of collecting
înregistrare
declarations.
declarației depuse la
Your
eliberare
personal
din
file does
funcție.
not contain a registration of your
Deci vă
declaration
rugăm să
submitted upon your
explicați, ați
resignation.
depus sau nu
Can you
declarație
please
la
explain?
demisia
Did you or
dumneavoastră
did you
din
not
10
submit a
mai
declaration when
2016?
you resigned on the 10th of May 2016?
Eu îmi amintesc că am depus.
I remember that I did.
Deci, cei din
Now,
2013, de ce
as to
asta
why
nu
the
a
one in
ajuns
2013,
la
why that
autorități? De ce cea din
didn't go all the way up to the
2017
authorities, why the
iar
one in
n-a fost pusă nici la mine
2017
în
was not
dosar?
submitted,
Deci,
was not
nu,
part of
asta
my
nu poate fi
file.
pus pe seama mea.
This
Nu eu am
cannot,
dus
I
această
cannot be blamed for
responsabilitate.
that. It was not
Deja
my
eram plecat de la
responsibility to
judecătoria
handle that.
Călăraș.
I had
Ce am
already
făcut, am
left the
demonstrat că,
Kalarash
într-adevăr,
court. What
situația era
I was
foarte
able to do is
tensionată.
just to prove and to show that there was a lot of
Persoana
tension
care ați văzut
in
că
that
are
relationship
scrisul
with
ei
the
și la mine
person
în
you saw,
dosar, adică
the
nu
handwriting of the
scrie
person
pe
in my
dosar
file as well. That is the
personal,
last
cum am văzut din
entries in my
copiile
personal
care
file,
mi-au
as I
fost
saw
eliberate
from the copies that
scrise
were
de dumnealui.
released to me.
De
That was
ce n-a
that
ajuns
gentleman's
declarația mea în
handwriting.
dosar? De
As
ce
for
n-a
why my
ajuns la
declaration didn't
NIE?
make it to the
Nu poate fi
file,
pus
to
pe
the
seama
NIA,
mea, fiindcă
I cannot be
acea
blamed for that,
declarație din
because that
2017, eu am depus-o și
2017
ea n-a ajuns
declaration,
în
I
primire,
filed it
chiar dacă a
and
fost
it
înregistrată
didn't go
în
anywhere, although it was
registrul de intrare
registered
al judecătoriei
in
Strășeni,
the
deci
register
știu precis că am
of
depus-o
entries
și
at Strasheni Court, and I
deci
know that I
știu din
filed it.
deoarece
And the reason
oricum
that I know
acasă
that for
undeva am
certain
strâns
is that
niște acte și restul
anyways,
le-am
somewhere
găsit.
at home,
Altele
I kept some
nu am avut
documentation
așa
on. I
aproape.
found what I
Nu am,
found, but for other
nu știu,
documentation,
niciodată nu m-am gândit că
I
trebuie
don't know.
să
I
țin
just
toate aceste
never
acte.
thought that
Adică
I
eu
would
pur și
have
simplu
to keep all these
am
documents.
fost naivă să cred
I've
că
always, I guess, I was
nimeni nu are ce
naive
face
to
niciun rău
believe
atâta
that
timp
nobody
cât
wanted to
e
do me any
înscris,
harm
atestat,
as long
adică
as there is something
nu
that was
ascund
entered,
nimic.
noted. I mean,
În perioada
I
dată
am not
nu am
hiding
cumpărat
anything
nimic,
for
nu
that.
am vândut
And during
nimic,
that period of time, I
nu s-a
bought
schimbat
nothing. I sold nothing.
esențial
So
averea familiei
nothing
noastre. Deci
changed substantially as regards
eu
the
știu
wealth
că am
of
depus-o
my
și nu
family.
are cum
So
să
I
fie să nu
know
fi
that I
depus.
submitted it, and there is no
Nu
way that I
știu,
didn't.
altă explicație
And
la momentul
as
nu
for
am
another
și, cum
explanation,
am
I have
spus
none
și
at this moment in
anterior,
time. And as I
chiar
previously
dacă
said as well,
declarația asta
even if that
nu există,
declaration,
ea nu vă
even
pot
if such
dovedi
declaration doesn't
prin
exist there,
înscrisuri,
and if I can't
nu cred că
prove it
asta
to
e o
you
abatere
on the
atât de
basis of any
mare care
entries
să-mi
whatsoever, I
pune
don't
sub
think that that violation is
foarte mari
as
și dubii
big
serioase
as
integritatea
to
mea
entail
financiară sau chiar
big,
etică,
serious doubts about my
deoarece
financial or
nu
ethical
știu, ne mai
integrity.
uităm și din
Because
alte
I don't know, we can look
prisme,
at it
așa cred eu, adică
through
bine,
a
nu e o
different lens glance as well. Okay, well, it's not registered there, but there's the reality. You could have checked that with all the organizations, with the cadastre. I don't know. I don't know how could you believe that I lack financial integrity only for the fact that a sheet of paper is nowhere to be found. In my understanding, that is just I can't find an answer. Not finding to that, not finding a piece of paper that I know I filed, does that already amount to a lack of financial integrity? That is a declaration that the law provides for, not just a piece of paper. Now, moving on, why did you submit the annual declaration for 2017, although you were not in a position of declarant? You were not supposed to. What was the purpose? When I left office from Kalarash court, I had gone through a lot of things that were not pleasant at all. So I'll just say things that were the way they were. In my head, I had this idea that I had to, that upon resignation, I had to file for the next year as well. In the meantime, the law changed, but I didn't keep an eye on that. I didn't follow the amendments. I just didn't. I mean, that's how it was stuck in my mind since back in the time that I was working, that when you assume office and then annually and upon resignation and the next year after resignation. But in the meantime, the law changed and I did not pay attention to that. I wanted, well, I had no intention of breaking the law. I did not have any other purpose or intention because from 2017 and now we're already 2023, so I had no hidden purpose whatsoever. I just wanted to keep away from violating the law because I knew that civil servants next year were supposed to the following year, they were also supposed to file a declaration of assets. Please confirm that you sent the hard copy declarations. Is that correct? I went to Strashen court and I submitted it there. But did you know that Law 133 on the Declaration of Assets and Personal Interest had entered into force and that it provided for only one single declaration of assets and personal interest to be filed on the website, or that was supposed to be registered with the person responsible of that? Were you aware of it? I knew that I had to submit it with the head of the Secretariat. The head of the Secretariat wasn't present there, and I was just going through Strashen, so that's why I asked the staff from that department, that is a department on keeping records, and well, I talked to them because I thought, look, I don't know when's the next time that I can pass through Strashen, and so that's why that's everything I can remember, leaving it there. Nobody told me anything. I guess I didn't know either whether that was the right thing to do. I guess I just didn't know it. But to be honest, after so many years, it's hard to remember the details. And in general, I don't have the memory of an accountant, so to speak. It's hard for me to think back so many years ago, and it's only thanks to some records and notes that I was able to still recall certain details. The fact that I filed it with a department in the register of entering correspondence. So I remember that because I saw the stamps and then I remembered. I mean, there was some not remembering very well the years. I know it was the year after I left office because that's how I remembered it, I remembered that I had to file a declaration because I worked as a civil servant. But maybe you filed the 2017 declaration because you thought you didn't file it at the right time in May 2016 when you left office. Maybe that is, I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I knew that I had to file another declaration for the following year. So to be honest, I had no intention to. I mean, would like to avoid repeating the same thing all over again, but I wasn't going to take any other at the time. I did not have any intention to hold any other public office. It's just at the time, at that time, I was thinking about not violating the law. I didn't think that I would ever apply for another position for a public office. Back then, I was not thinking about it back in 2017. You mentioned that the declaration you submitted upon resigning office was not registered because of the conflict with the person who was in charge of collecting declarations. You submitted a note from March 2015 in which that person expressed some dissatisfaction with certain work aspects. Nevertheless, that person registered your annual declaration for 2015, filed on the 18th of March 2016, less than 2 months before you resigned. Please explain how did that person refuse to register your declaration upon resignation, but nevertheless registered your annual declaration less than 2 months before that? How did that come to happen? If I only knew. I found the explanations. I mean, I started to, well, I guess it is known that there was a litigation in court that I was party to with the Kalarash court that became Strashen court. And that litigation continued and went all the way up to the Supreme Court of Justice. Having looked at the files, I noticed, I mean, that is the only thing that I could do to show that it was true that I was not in a good relationship, though I didn't know why, but with that person. So I found that note. Certainly, well, this is something that I said previously too, and I would like to reiterate again that the declarations that we filed all together didn't go missing. Like we would all file them all together at once. What has gone missing is something that I filed separately. So these were like declarations filed throughout the year. They were being filed separately. And at the time, only I resigned. So my declaration could have been just there, recorded somewhere that I filed it. I don't have any other explanation. I have no intention to make things up. I presented what I found. And I don't want to go into any other details because, fine, are you aware of other cases where that person didn't register the declarations of other declarants, of the staff court, of judges in that same way? I didn't look into that. I don't really like to pry into things like that if it's not my business. It didn't even cross my mind to inquire into this, to ask anyone about this, because so many years have passed. Maybe if these events would have happened not that long ago, but it didn't cross my mind. And I don't know who else resigned after I did. I left and I forgot about it. That was something that the best thing to do to overcome that situation. And then I've submitted documentation that a few months later, the situation worsened, and I guess it was because of my emotional situation, and I was in no mood of thinking back or inquiring into whether anybody else left after I left, and as to why he didn't register didn't matter. For a few years after that, these things didn't matter a lot to me. But maybe he could have said something that could have made you believe that he didn't register that registration, the declaration, sorry. Well, I mean, those were just words that he said to me. So what can I do with whatever he told me? That is the only thing that I found in writing. But you can imagine that in addition to what you saw in writing, in addition to that, there were a lot of ugly things as well. So why would I go back there and stir that up again? Because that was only a discussion. Things were being said, not in the right place, not in the right way. To very close persons to me, he told to their face things that were not true, and I don't want to stir that up now. I don't want now to prove everyone that everybody's evil and bad and I'm the good one. No, I just like to call things their names. And is there anything else you would like to add in this regard? Only to just confirm that I had no material interest or of any other nature to not file the declaration or to hide anything away. That's everything I want to emphasize. I did not pursue anything in particular. I didn't have any material asset that I wanted to hide away, for instance. Nothing of the kind. Let's move on to issue number 2 then. The Commission has serious doubts regarding your integrity in light of the erroneous contractual price indicated in the sale and purchase agreement of 7 April 2015 and your inability to prove that the costs associated with the car were considerably reduced after it was imported at the end of 2014. There are concerns with regards to the sale price that was put down in the sale and purchase agreement of 14 September 2017, which you were unable to explain, and which was half the price declared by you in the declaration you submitted to the Commission. Is there anything that you would like to say in this regard before I ask some questions about the values, the understatement? I didn't understand. What was it that the half part about? I mean, it was the other way around. My husband indicated in the declaration that it cost 50,000. He told me 100,000, and I put down 100,000 in the declaration. So I just want this to be clear for everyone. I did not that it's not an undervaluation. I declare what I was told, not more, that it's 50,000 more actually than it was registered in the contract. I declared 50,000 more than what the contract said. Because when they say that I indicated something incorrectly, well, as for incorrect or erroneous, I mean, what I was told, that's what I wrote, but there's a problem that the majority of people actually write things the other way around. But my husband told me 100,000. You were able to see his signature on the sale and purchase agreement related to the car. So when the car was bought, when the car was sold, I was not asked for my opinion. But what he told me, that's what I wrote in the declaration that I submitted to the Commission. And I would like this to be clear for everyone. Well, let me then ask the questions. Thank you. In October 2014, a third party imported a car model, Honda, purchased for 200,000 lei. When the car was imported into Moldova, the customs service valued the car at 180,000 lei and 31,000 lei were paid as taxes. On 7 April 2015, 6 months later, that is, you or your husband purchased that car for 100,000 lei, a price that is lower than the price for similar cars in 2015. Both you and the seller explained that the car was sold at such a low price because of some technical issues with it. The gear, the box, there was some corrosion. Neither you nor the seller provided any kind of confirmation about the condition of the car. No pictures, receipts for services, receipts for the purchase of spare parts and others. Please explain how can you prove what the technical condition of the car was and what impact that had on the price of the car? I too looked into the materials on the case, the explanations of the seller, but as a third party, what can I say? I wasn't even there when all those transactions were taking place. As for the seller, they do say that the gearbox wasn't all right. And from what man told me, because I'm not knowledgeable about stuff like this, the cost repairs for the gearbox is about half of the cost of a car. It's very expensive. The seller said it was more convenient to him to sell the car at more convenient price and bring in another car. It was not the only car that he was selling. He used that car before he sold it to us. So I think there was a reasonable explanation. The fact that there are no pictures, no announcements, it's because in did as my husband explained. He was already looking for a car, and he told some acquaintances at the car market, and he told people at other markets, people called one another, and this particular person wanted to sell it as soon as possible. He wanted to buy a different one, so somebody called my husband, and they somehow met. I don't know how exactly that happened. I did not participate in that. And the transaction took place. And I found the sale, purchase, or rather the agreement, sorry. I found that agreement. What else can I provide but a contract, an agreement between two individuals who agreed on that price and the price of sale in 2017. I've provided reasons for that. We needed money as soon as possible. I mean, I personally needed money, and at that time, in that situation, it didn't matter to us what we were selling it for, because there was something else at stake. And at the end of the day, as far as I know, sometimes first you have to lose before you win. I understand you too, and I understand the questions last time when you wouldn't be able to see the economic rationale behind it. If I, in my life, was only to follow economic rationale, then I think I wouldn't have stand it now in front of you. I have other principles that I follow. I knew that we would lose out of that transaction, but then I had the possibility to go elsewhere and to do something that was of an extraordinary emergency and was absolutely necessary. And in cases like that, you make some quick choices which might not look very credible, but that's what happened. A part of that money was used by my husband to buy a much cheaper car to have something to get around here, and I used the other part of the money to go abroad to solve some of my very severe health issues. There's nothing else I could add to this than that I am sorry that it turned out like this. We're not keeping everything under control. But as I said, in a family, in a household, well, in my understanding, there's supposed to be trust, and maybe I had too much trust. Maybe I was too naive. But you can't live in any other way, I believe, and it's already very hard to re-establish or bring back some relationships of trust in the professional field, in my work field, in my personal life as well. But I've never imagined that I would ever have to keep all the records, keep all the receipts, and make pictures of the car the way it looked like when it was broken. But in general, as I was not even involved with that, I couldn't have even crossed my mind that could have ever been necessary. And I had so many issues going on at work as well back in 2016, 17. I had no desire whatsoever to know what he was doing with the car, how he was repairing it. It does not belong to me, and I do believe that to be a mistake, my mistake. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure that that characterizes me personally, and that is proof of the fact that I lack financial ethics. I don't know what else I could say in this regard. I was very happy when I found at the end of the day that seller, the person to sell the car, and I saw the agreement with my own eyes at long last. That again, I confirmed that I did not sign that agreement. So that is, you can see that without even an expert review, you don't need that. Even the seller to confirm that he never saw me. I didn't sign it. And he didn't negotiate with me the price, considering the condition of the car. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I pass the evaluation or not. I just know that I will sleep soundly at night, and I just used this second opportunity to explain to you the situation as it was, because what matters to me most is my civic work rather than the professional. part of work, and ultimately I wouldn't be able to promote such principles as truth and tolerance and benevolence, and then to lie on the and to lie at the same time. Let's move on. In the sale and purchase agreement, you are included as the buyer of the car, and there's your personal data, and your signature was also required. But the signature in that agreement belongs to your husband. Your husband signed the agreement under your name. Nevertheless, in your answer to the doubts of the Commission and in the initial evaluation, you claim that your husband had the responsibility for everything related to cars and that the purchase of the car was a surprise for you. There's a government decision, 1047 of 8 November 1999, regarding the reorganization of the automated search information system in the state transport register, and there is an item like paragraph 18 in the register that says in the government decision that says that vehicles are registered in the name of natural persons upon presentation of identity documents, and in the case of the owner's name, a representative is presented next to identity documents, and there have to be documents as well, so confirming the powers bestowed upon the representative. So please explain why the car was registered under your name in the official database, even though your husband signed the contract in your name. How did that registration happen? Well, my husband was in a managerial position there. He was the head of the department on record and registration of cars, of vehicles in Kalarash. He's worked there for 25 years. Do you think he needed my agreement? Didn't he have my personal data? That is something again that is being forgotten about, but I said it. He acted on his own initiative. He used his own authority as a head of that department because he was the one introducing the data. And then he told me that he wanted to give me a surprise, and look at the nice surprise he gave me. So I wasn't even there ever at the department that deals with the registration of cars. So it turns out he used his position and violated the regulation. Yes, yes, because those agreements, when I saw the agreement that was handwritten and signed like that, and there was no number, no nothing, I mean, those were the times back then, and he took advantage of that, of his position, of his authority, and he never asked me.
Then he also put some violations of road traffic rules on my name, because I have never had any. Even though I've been driving and I still drive, but now what can I do? I cannot start a criminal case against my husband. Did you do some power of attorney to empower your husband to register the car on your name? No. Did you give him your identity document to your husband, or did he know it? He had access to the register. He always had access to the state register. Okay. When did you see that car for the first time? I can't remember the date. More or less. When did... I can't tell you. I know that he had a service car. He used that service car while he was repairing this one. But to tell you now a specific year and so that it would be false, I'd rather not. I am afraid to. So maybe if I can connect it to an event in my life, something that happened, but well, I can't recall right now. Maybe as we discussed further on, I will recall and I will tell you. Who was driving the car? Do you generally drive? Or that specific car? Did you drive that car? I drive. Do you have a driver's license? Yes, I have. I drive very seldom. Did you drive that specific car? Probably so, 1-2 times. It's I don't exclude that, but he was working in Kalarash and I was also working there, and a lot of time we were traveling with his service car. But when did you drive? You bought it in April 2015. Was it the same year when you bought it, you drove it? Or when? I told you I don't have a bookkeeping type of memory. I never know how much money I'm left with, not even to talk about something that happened years and years ago. I don't remember. I remember when I gave birth to my children, when I got employed, maybe when I resigned. Otherwise, these are not important things to me. I try to delete them from my memory. Otherwise, I don't know how I would be living. When did you find out that the car was registered in your name? When you did find out? Probably closer to the end of the year after he repaired it, because it's my birthday at the end of the year. 2015? Yes, probably so. I am not saying that exactly. I don't know how long the repair works took. I was not involved. I was not asked. Now I have two men, my son too. They are driving. I don't like handling that. Even though I have a driver's license, I drive very, very seldom, only if it's like urgent, but that's happening very seldom. How did you respond? What did you do when you found out that the car was registered in a... We had a fight. Do you believe it ethical and legal for your husband to buy and register the car in your name? No, categorically no. You sold that car, the Honda, 2 years later, on September 15, 2017, and you declared in the 5-year declaration submitted to the Commission that the sale price was 100,000 lei. Yet the contract states that the sale price was 50,000 lei. And explaining the difference between the declared and the contract price, you said that you declared the value that your husband told you. So, the car was sold for 100,000 lei, as you declared, or was it sold for 50,000, as listed in the contract? I don't know. I don't know. We were living having separate budgets. I don't know. I know that in September, I already knew what problem I had. I tried here. I was not employed. I did not have a health insurance. We sat down, we talked, what are we going to do? Because I think at the time he was not working either already. I hope I'm not mistaken. I think in 2016 or 2017 at the beginning, he was left without a job. So we were living only on the account of his pension. Then we decided, as I told at the beginning, I don't need luxury cars. I generally don't need a means of transport. I need something else. And then he said, in this case, let's sell it. Part of the money he gave to me, again, I don't remember how much. I know how much money I took with me when I went to Italy. And otherwise, I cannot confirm or deny anything. When I started to fill out the declaration that I had to submit to the Commission, I asked him, so well, what did you do? How much? Because at that point, I was in September, October, in November 2017. That was the peak when I got to Italy. Those were months since I knew what health issue I had, but I could not find a solution because here in Moldova, no one wanted to help me in any way. They told me it was not possible to do anything. And he told me 100,000. I explained to him, like, look, I have to file this declaration. Please recall. So I don't know. I don't know about another amount. I know that I took at least 2,000 euros, and I had that money when I left. I needed to have some money for food, some private investigation, private tests probably at the beginning. When did you find out about this discrepancy in terms of prices? Well, when he found the contract somewhere, because it wasn't at home. Actually, no, he did not find it. He went and took it from the unit for registration of vehicles. We did not have it at home. I have never seen it. And when I told him, well, when you had questions, I asked him, like, you told me 100,000. Now I'm told here that it was 50,000. And it was either then or a bit early because 6 years have not passed by that time, so they were not, the contracts, the papers were not disposed of. So the copy of that contract, sale contract, was in the database of the vehicle registration unit in Kalarash. So he made the copy and he brought it home, and that's when I saw it. Did you take part directly in selling that car? No. Categorically not. I don't know who the buyer is. You can ask, but you can ask them, you can call and ask them. No one saw me. Did you sign the contract? No. It is not my signature. That is my husband's signature. The first and the second too. No one had any discussion with me about prices, contract. I was not there. I did not take part in anything. Employees of the vehicle registration unit can confirm. I am not afraid. You can ask them all. You can ask them, have they ever seen me in relation to this car? Generally, I was always against cars, well, more or less luxury cars, because maintaining them is very expensive. I have lived a life of saving. I lived based on the resources that I had, and I did not afford following the trends of a fashion. I have always known my salary, the expenses that I could afford. That's why maybe I'm sitting here before you, because it's not pleasant to anyone to come and to try to make up something that did not happen. Okay, did you get a power of attorney to empower your husband to buy to sell the car? No, not. Did you give him your identity document? No. So since you knew that he'd done it before, did you consider it ethical or legal for him to do it again? I don't remember that we did not have similar cases. I mean, to such an extent. Maybe, well, we went to my mother and took something from me, but to such an extent, we never had things like that. I was not cautious in that respect. I never expected such a thing to happen. He did not sign for me, nowhere and never, only here, never. I did not think that he could have done this. Would you like to add anything to this topic? Well, honestly, I am very happy and thankful that these things were revealed now. And if there are only these two issues in my past, then I'm so extremely happy because people who lived in Moldova know what civil servants, judges could afford or could do here. Well, ultimately, in my opinion, I kept my integrity. I did not touch anything not belonging to me. I did not hide anything because I was taught to live a life that's open and with dignity. And, well, I prefer to live such a life, dignity and integrity. I don't want to add anything else. Of course, it's up to you to consider and decide if what I said is true or not. But one of the principles that I try to follow is truth. And even though truth hurts, it's still the truth. It's what I said. Maybe, at the beginning, I thought that you'd believe my word and I did not file some documents because last time I told you I had a severe health issue, but I did not reveal that. I did not want to open that folder with all the tests I had done at that time. So I would not lie for a job. Never. Let's see, maybe other commission members have questions to you.
I think, Victoria, you have a question? Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chiriac, I have a question on the last issue about the declaration and your husband signing the documents in connection with the Honda CRV. He purchased the car and signed your name to the paperwork in violation of the regulations in 2015. And then he sells the car 2 years later in 2017. And again, you do not participate in preparing any of the paperwork. But if you knew he'd acted improperly before, why did you allow him to do it again?
I cannot confirm that to 100%. I'm not even sure I was in Moldova when he sold the car, because I traveled repeatedly to Italy. First, I went there to see if someone there would at least take a look at me, get me an appointment. I cannot confirm that on the day when the transaction took place, I was in Moldova. I mean, it's more likely that I wasn't, or I was feeling badly, but it's more likely that I wasn't in Moldova on that day. And it wasn't the most pleasant moment of our lives. And I said that I don't want to know anything. You did that, you handle it. I was not interested at all in that question because, as I said, but I don't want to repeat it, I had so many problems of my own. That was the least of the issue that was concerning me. We tried to sell other property as well, but it didn't get sold. And from what I remember, the car was to be sold. But on the day that the car was sold, I really can't confirm if I was in the country. I was going to Italy and coming back, doing some tests in November. Then I realized that financially I can't cover, and generally I just wanted to give up on everything. But then I was encouraged by my children, like, no, go, try, do it. So then, in the first semester of 2018, I was in Italy again. So these have been really difficult times. And if I knew, well, since I knew that he was handling these things, we did not have such issues before. He never lied. I mean, he had no interest to lie to me. I really don't understand what the reason was. He sold it for 50,000 and told me maybe he did not remember, maybe he did not do that deliberately, because from what I know, in Moldova, the opinion of the buyer matters as well. Do they want to show the entire amount or not? Because he also had to show where from he had that amount of money. So I don't know why they declared 50, while my husband told me that he sold it for 100,000.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Anyone else has any questions? Neither do I. In that case, I think Mrs. Chiriac, as per usual, of course, we always give the candidate an opportunity to make a brief closing statement. Would you like to make opportunity of making that? So if that is the case, then please go ahead.
Yes. What can I say? I skimmed through the file that was with materials that were gathered. Even I repeat that I want to say that the work done was huge. My activity, especially the civic activity, has been and still is quite active within Falun Dafa and Falun Gong associations, and that brought enough obstacles ahead of me, meaning that we are active and we talk about persecution of our followers in China. And over the years, we were treated in an unjust manner, so to say, even though we tried not to interfere with politics, to help fellow judges to understand what we do, but in the end, we are probably not understood. Still, I am happy that in this life I can think more of others than of myself, because this gives meaning to my life. I can only thank you for your patience to listen to me. Even though everything I said does not change your opinion, I understand that we reached times when we have so little trust in what is said. Sometimes we see things and we don't trust that. I am sometimes like that as well, but I'm fighting it. I don't want to lose entirely my trust in people. The position that I applied for does not matter. What matters is for me to move on with dignity, openly, with integrity, because for the least, my children need an example, a role model, and I think I can lead them by example, and other people too. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we come to the end of the hearing for today, and I thank you again for your submissions and answers to our questions. As you know, the Commission will now withdraw for deliberations, and as much as possible, we will strive at delivering a decision within a month after the date of the hearing. Let me thank you again and hereby declare the hearing closed. Thank you very much.